Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about not really a magical girl from Magia Record, but an Iwasa with magical capabilities. That being Eternal Sakura, also known as Rumor of 10,000 Years Sakura. So let's begin. Eternal Sakura is a 17-year-old by appearance, but is less than a 1-year-old balance type Muwasa. Her eyes are pink in color, with her hair being white, with tones of pink and blue tips. She is 165 centimeters in height, and she has no blood type. She does not have a soul gem since she is not a magical girl. Her weapon is a sword made of flower petals, which generate from her bracelet on her right arm. Since she is not a magical girl and is an Iwasa, she does not have a witch and double. Her abilities and powers are not known, and she has no wish, again that being because she's not a full-fledged magical girl. Her known relative would be Nemhuragi, who created her, and her origins are as a rumor. She attends at the school at Minaginai Literary Academy in the 11th grade, and she has ties with Kami Magia Union, and she has the element of light. An Uwasu who awaited the convergence of 4 girls at her side so that she could burst into full bloom, she is now able to exit her rumor. Thanks to some edits to it, she can now, but she lacks common knowledge and others see her as unusual. She always waits to return to her mountain or be with the people she loves. Sakura wasn't born as the Iwasa of the Eternal Sakura. She was born from Aruha Tamaki's words when 3 girls asked her for a story in a flashback at the hospital. Aruha finishes telling the story of the Sakura to Uitamaki, Tokosatomi, and Nemuragi. The 3 of them love the story and it inspires them to keep going. Nemu loves it so much she decided to write it down in her notebook, flashing out the story a bit. Nemu then narrates the story as one she heard from a treasured friend with a few assemblies added from her. In the woods surrounding Hakuyo Ward lies a vast grassy meadow. A big sakura tree grows in the center of the meadow, surrounded by clear blue skies. And there, a girl stands next to it. It's a special place where the girl promised to reunite with her 3 best friends, who were patients in a hospital. When they get better, they'll all meet there to play in the meadow. The girl continues to wait for that day, and when that day arrives, the big sakura tree will blossom in celebration of the reunion of the 4 girls. No one knows who named the tree, but the tree is called the 10,000-year-old Sakura of Promises. Nemu then writes down the names of the 4 girls. That was the beginning of Sakura's life in the pages of Nemu's notebook. She wasn't fully conscious yet since she was just a story. One day, she was moved from the notebook to a book she didn't recognize when Nemu rewrote the story into a rumor. No longer was she just a fussy idea, but an actual being who existed thanks to Nemu breathing her own life force into it. Not just her, but many of the stories that Aruha, Ui, Toka, and Nemu had created within the Kamihama of their own imaginations were also given new forms within the book. They were aware of each other previously when they were in the world of the notebook, but they had never met face to face before. Inside the notebook, the various rumors began to talk. to each other as they realize they are no longer ideas but actual beings. The Uwasa of the commoner's house can't believe they are all real now. The Uwasa of the Charlatan Land Ferris wheel greets the Uwasa of the anonymous AI since she seems so familiar. Each of the rumors introduce themselves in turn, expanding who they are. The Uwasa of the friendship-ending staircase introduces itself as an urban legend that Toka found that was then written by Nemu. The staircase recites this rumor for the others. The rumor of the waiter house is the next to introduce itself. Ui had heard about a matchmaking spot at Mizuna Shrine, and Nemu had added to the story. The waiter house also recites this rumor for the others. The anonymous AI introduces herself as an original work. Toka had told Nemu about her networks and about AI, so Nemu had used that as inspiration for her story. The AI finishes her introduction by reciting her rumor as well. All of them were once stories just like the Sakura. When they became rumors, they were free, but at the same time, they are no longer free. All of them are bound to their rumors. They are free only within the limits of their rumors. The friendship-ending staircase tells the others that's true, but it's already disappeared, so she can't go outside anymore. Sakura asks the others if they know why they are moved from the notebook to this book, but none of them has any idea. As they talk, a new rumor appears before them. The Uwasa of Misery Raiden. None of the other rumors recognize it from the notebook, and the breakup staircase is scared it might be bad since it can sense something sinister from it. All of them could sense the evil permitting from it, and could sense that there was even more evil where that came from. Some time has passed since the friendship-ending staircase had ceased to exist in the outside world, and the Sakura rumor had been freed from the book to guard for her tree. By this point, several of the rumors had already been destroyed so far. Since the rumors that Ira had encountered besides the staircase were the Seon Shrine in the Misery Water, Sakura couldn't blame her for thinking that all rumors were dangerous, especially with how their rumors were written to bring about bad things to people. All of their sinister aspects were being amplified. Sakura couldn't understand why Nemu would create them with evil intentions when Nemu wasn't that kind of a person originally. Also, both Toko and Nemu had forgotten all about Ui. Sakura could sense that someone was returning to the book, so she went back to see who it was. There, she greeted the anonymous AI. She knew something must have happened to her since she hadn't seen her returned in a while. The anonymous AI apologizes to Sakura since it was difficult for her to get away. She tells her how she met Iroha and how Iroha still remembers who Ui is. For some reason, Toka and Nemu have forgotten who Ui is, while Iroha is busy searching for Ui, who has now gone missing. Sakura wonders what is going on, as she worries about the 4 girls who created her. The anonymous AI has no idea either, but she knows that it can't be good. As they're talking, a new woman materializes beside them, the Uwasa of the Memory Curator. If only they could make it to her rumor, then at least Sakura could protect them. More time passed, and then Sakura became the only woman who still had a physical form. Many things happened during that time. Iroha opposed Toka and Nemu, who had lost their memories, and Ui became a half-witch. Then Walpurgisnacht attacked, but the 4 of them overcome the odds. Toka and Nemu recovered their memories, and Ui was safe from Eve. Then they defeated Walpurgisnacht and came here to Sakura's rumor where she was waiting. Reunited at last, the Sakura tree burst forth into full bloom. Not only that, all of the stories who were turned into rumors and those who were born as rumors all lived together in harmony within the pages of Nemu's book. At first, they were frightened, but they soon got along since they were all fellow beings born from a story, even though they exact of her reach is limited, Sakura is the only one who is still capable of going out and learning about the world outside of the book, so she often tells the others about what is happening. Sakura relates to the others everything that Ira has told her about what is currently happening. The rumors listen to every word, and the Charlatan Land Ferris wheel is eager to hear about how Trino Yuri is doing. The anonymous AI is also eager to hear about how her friend, Sana Futaba, is doing and hopes she's doing well. But Sakura doesn't know anything about them since she's only interested in her four creators, which causes the Ferris wheel and AI to get sad. If they should come to visit her rumor, Sakura promises to let them know, but since she's bound to her rumor, she can only learn about them if they come to her. Despite having a physical form now that she's a rumor, Sakura is bound to the meadow where the 10,000-year Sakura tree grows and can never leave except to go to the book. Nemu summons Sakura, so she leaves her book to return to the meadow where her tree grows. There, Toka and Nemu greet her. Nemu is glad to see she's doing well, but Toka doesn't get what Nemu means by well, since to her, Sakura is just a rumor and not a living being. Nemu tells Toka she should try to learn empathy on one of these days, which irritates Toka. Sakura smiles at the two, saying that good friends they must still be since they are still arguing with each other all the time, just as how Iraha said they would. Toka changes the subject, telling her they didn't just come here to visit. She asks Sakura if she's interested in the outside world. Nemu informs her she can rewrite her rumors so that she will be able to leave the meadow, and Toka has already set up an internet server for her so she can connect to it and download all the information she needs to live among humans. In exchange, they'll like to ask her for a favor. Sometime after the Dreaming Cherry Blossom event, Sakura stands in the living room of Minazuke Villa. She introduces herself as the rumor of the 10,000-year Sakura. But in the human world, her name is Sakurako Hiragi. She is technically 0 years old, but she was given an age number to match her parents. Nemu nods at her introduction. Some of her word choices are going to be a bit of a problem, but otherwise she'll do just fine. Ui and Uriha are surprised to see her this way, and Ui asks Nemu if this is really the same rumor. Nemu says it is, but since she no longer has to play the part of a judge for them, she's been rewritten slightly so she can adapt to everyday life. Since Toka updated the information on her server, they'll like to ask Iraha to take care of Sayakuro for 3 days to see if she can access the data and learn about everyday life through practice in the real world. Ira isn't so sure about this, and so she calls Yachio. Yachio doesn't have any problems with their little experiment, but asks why they aren't taking care of her since they're the ones who created her. Nemu says they have pre-existing notions that would color their pre-perception of her, while Toka says they're just plain busy with other things. Toka begs Ui and Iroha to take care of her since it is Yachio's house. They leave the decision up to her. After hearing Ui beg for her to stay, Yachio relents and allows Sakurako to stay with them for 3 days. After all, they can't just throw her out onto the street. It's her first day at Mizuka Villa, so Iroha suggests they make lunch. Sakurako offers to make something delicious for her, but Iroha says she'll have to make enough for 7 people, to include Sakurako. Iroha offers to help, but Sakurako says she'll be able to manage by herself and goes into the kitchen. Iroha decides to watch her from afar, but Sakurako notices her watching and asks her what's wrong. It seems Sakurako has already finished making lunch for everyone, much to Iroha's surprise, so Iroha calls everyone down to eat. Chununo is shocked at how good the fried rice is, calling it way better than Bandanazai's, and then fainting. Everyone else agrees it is the absolute best fried rice any one of them has ever tried. The seasoning is on point, and it's not oily at all. Aruha notices that Sakurako isn't eating and offers to get her a plate, but Sakurako says she was advised not to eat anything since she's technically a roomer, so who knows where the food will end up. Oh my. Good question. Either way, she's happy knowing how much Aruha and Nui enjoyed the food, and is glad that the server's knowledge has provided useful. It's nighttime now, and everyone has finished their homework for the night. Truno checks everyone's work and is amazed at how well Sakurako did. A perfect 100. Ui congratulates her on her score, but Sakurako doesn't understand the praise since all she did was write down the information that was on her server. Ui insists it was an amazing job and shows her that all the mistakes she made on her own homework sheet. Sakurako offers to tutor Ui, much to her delight. The next morning, Aruha awakens to find that Sakurako has already folded the laundry she forgot to do last night. Also, Sakurako has already cleaned the entire house for them. Aruha is grateful, and Sakurako replies it as thanks to all the information that Toko and Nemu have provided her on her server, as well as everything she learned from the other roomers. The day ends, and Yacho is talking to Aruha. She's glad that Sakurako had already since she helps so much around the house. She's great at cooking, cleaning laundry, and even tutoring Ui. Yacho wonders if she's ready to leave the house now, but Aruha is hesitant. Yacho remembers that tomorrow she will be her third day, and she'll have to virtue into the outside world eventually. Despite her concerns, Yachio thinks it will be the best if she began practicing now. The next day, Ui, Aruha, Yachio, and Sakurako head to the mall. Sakurako can't believe there are so many people in one place. Aruha thanks Yachio for coming out along and helping her keep an eye on Ui and Sakurako. Ui wants to go look at a stationery, so they shop at this specialty shop. Aruha admits she can't tell the difference between all the different kinds of paper and just got Ui the same kind of notebook she had for school. Sakurako points out a notebook and tells them it was the same notebook that Ui drew Sakurako and the other roomers in. Ui wants the notebook, so Aruha gladly buys it for her. The next day stopped at a bookstore, and so Aruha could buy a new cookbook. Sakurako is happy to learn more about different things that Aruha and Ui like. They ask Yacho if there's any place she wants to go shopping, but Yacho says they don't have to do that. Aruha responds that they have plenty of time and insists that Yacho pick a place. Yacho accepts, and they go clothes shopping for a bit. After they're done, they head to a restaurant for lunch. Ui asks Sakurako if there's anything she wants to go. Sakura shakes her head. She only wants to go where Ui and Aruha want to go. Ui looks around and notices an arcade. Since she's never been to one before they decide to go check it out, Yachiyo tells them to run ahead and she'll catch up with them later. Ui sees a claw machine at the arcade and really wants the plushie inside. Aruha has never tried her hand at a claw machine before, but she says she'll try her best. Sakurako steps up and tells them to leave it to her since Toko and Nemu including data on winning arcade games. Sakurako gets the plushie on her first try and hands it to Ui. She offers to win one for Aruha, and while she's playing, a man bumps past Ui and knocks her to the ground. He turns and tells Ui it is her own fault for being in the way. Aruha picks up Ui, who is thankfully unhurt. They hear a noise and look to see that Sakurako had hit the man and is now demanding an apology. The man tells her to lay off, but Sakurako insists he apologizes for bumping into her. If he doesn't, she'll consider him an enemy of Ui, and she will put an end to all enemies of Ui at all costs. She hits him again and demands an apology or else. Ara and Ui tell her to stop since she's taking it too far. Sakurako says she has to stop him or he'll do it again since he won't repent for his actions. Yachiro finally catches up to them and the man takes the moment to run away. Ara tells Sakurako not to chase after him and Sakurako relents. Yashiro asks what's happening here. Ui says it was her fault for being in the way, but Sakurako insists the human was to blame since she bumped into her. Yachiro doesn't know what was going on, but she does know they need to get back to home to Mizuki Villa now. Back home, Ui recounts what happened in the arcade to Yachiro. This is exactly what she was worried about happening. Ui blames herself, but Yachiro tells Ui it's not her fault at all, and that Sakurako went too far even if the guy was in the wrong. She tells Ui that she'll have Araha lecture Sakurako since she wouldn't listen to Yachiro anyways. Ui is surprised to hear this, but Yachiro asks if she hasn't noticed that Sakurako only listens to her and Araha. It seems that Yachiro's suspicions have confirmed. Sakurako only cares about the 4 girls she is meant to protect, and no one else. In the other room, Araha is telling Sakurako that she's glad she jumped to Ui's defense, but she shouldn't hurt others. Sakurako knows what she did was wrong because the data she accessed informed her that hurting others and acting recklessly was wrong, but she couldn't just sit back and watch as Ui was harmed because she is a rumor and therefore bound to the rules of her story and must act accordingly. That and she didn't even hit him that hard since she didn't do any real harm. When Ira asks what she meant by real harm, Sakura transforms into her battle form and displays Ira the true power she wields for the sake of protecting the 4 girls. Sakurako created the battle form using the data that she was on the surface so she could fight witches and protect Ira from them. She transforms back into her white dress and says she would have used that power on the man from earlier if Ara hadn't stopped her. Ara looks down and Sakurako asks her why she's angry with her. Ara corrects her saying she was sad and not angry. She's glad that Sakurako wants to protect them, but she thinks that she shouldn't use violence to solve problems and to use her battle form again unless they're fighting a witch or in a really dangerous situation. If she can't do that, then life should be easier for her. Araha asks her to promise not to use the battle form again, and Sakurako promises she won't. She thanks Sakurako for listening to her. Truino calls them over to play a board game with everyone. Sana wants to sit next to Araha, but before she could do so, Sakurako pulls Araha over to the other side of the table. When Truino offers Ui to sit next to her, when she can see the game board better, Sakurako immediately grabs her and whisks her away to where Araha is sitting. Now, Araha thinks maybe she was a little harsh on Sakurako, but Sakurako admits she's just sulking a little. Felicia and Sana don't know why she's acting that way, but Yachiro explains that it's because she wants Araha and Yui all to herself. She may not show her emotions very well, but it's very easy to see that's just how she is. Trina remembers how Sakurako had insisted on checking Ui's homework the other night. Felicia remembers how she whined when Araha asked her to help her fold the laundry until Sakurako stepped it up and Emily offered to help. Sana recalls a time when Araha forgot to set the table and Sana had offered to do it for her, but Sakurako had already beaten them to the punch. Trina wonders if she'll be okay since it's her 3rd day already. Yachiro says she should be there as long as neither Araha or Ui are in danger. Mifuru shows up with Toka and Nemo to Tower for a visit to Sakurako. They glad to see that Sakurako is doing well. While Sakurako is happy to see them as well, Toka mentions there is a pick Sakurako up. Well, Nemu mentions that he finished arranging things so that Sakurako can attend school, much to everyone's surprise. She's to go to Minaki Freedom School. since it's a global school where she won't stand out and it's a school where she won't know anyone. Nemu is worried that if she has a friend there, then she might rely on them too much and won't become independent. Yacho thinks it's a good idea since it will be better for everyone if she keeps away from Iroha and Ui, plus they do not know at least one person who attends that school. Sakura arrives at the school and is greeted at the front gates by Hanae and Miyako. Yacho and Iroha explain everything to her, so she tells Sakurako to count on her. Sakurako believes she'll be okay since Nemu wrote out a character for her to play as well in school. Hinano says that's great, but not to mention things like that in class. She leads her to her classroom and informs her she's in the grade above her, so she'll be in a different classroom. Sakurako ensures her she'll be fine since she already installed all the information about school life. Hinano is worried that Sakurako is talking about herself like she's a computer, but Sakurako says the character she's playing was educated overseas, so Nemu told her it's okay if she talks strangely once in a while. Hinano says that cultural differences aren't enough to cover everything. Sakurako informs her she's updated her database to add a note about how Hinano is a worrywart. She heads into the classroom while Hinano shakes her head. The teacher informs the class they have a transfer student and asks Sakurako to introduce herself. Sakurako tells the class her name is Sakurako Hiragi, and she has been transferred here to learn more about human society. She tells the class she is technically 0 years old since she's actually recently born, but she was assigned the age number to match her physical appearance. Sakurako then says she's mustered up as she wasn't supposed to say that. Then the class is in full whispers and chatter among students. Sakurako asks them to give her a moment while she looks up the info she was supposed to say. Then she recalls what Nemu had told her about these kids of kinds of situations and tells the class she is pleased to meet them and hopes they can be friends. The teacher says that's enough for now and assigns Sakurako a seat. The students think she's a little weird, and someone asks if maybe they taught her what not to say as a prank since she came from overseas. In another classroom, Ryo Midori is overhearing two boys talk about a new girl at school. They claim she's very pretty, but she's kind of crazy, so they opt to keep their distance from her. In between classes, Hirono sees Sakurako and comes over to say hello. Sakurako asks her if she needs anything, but Hirono just wanted to check up on her, especially after hearing so many rumors about her in school already. Sakurako doesn't see the problem since she is a rumor after all, but Hirono clarifies to mean that people are talking about her. Sakurako doesn't care what other people think. The only option she cares about is the option of her four specific friends. Hirono says that's okay with her as long as she is not bothered by it. Sakurako says there is something that is bothering her and tells Hirono that she finds school to be so boring. She already knows everything that the teachers are teaching in class, and she misses Araha and the others. She sees no point in being in school. Hirono says that is the point of being in school, so she could find her purpose. She might not find it right away, but she will eventually if she keeps coming to school. Hirono says if she made her any friends yet, but Sakura doesn't feel the need for them at school. Hirono won't force her to do anything, but she thinks Sakurako will have more fun at school if she does. Sakurako doesn't understand. The teacher is telling the class to take careful notes since the next part will be on the test. Sakurako tells the teacher she's bored and going to go with Araha. She gets up and leaves the classroom despite the teacher's protest. As she's walking down the hall, Ryu snaps a picture of her on her camera. Sakurako asks who she is and Ryu introduces herself. As part of the school's newspaper, the Midori report, Ryo asks if she should be in class, but Sakurako asks her the same thing in return. Ryo says she has a free period and asks if Sakurako is cutting class. Sakurako tells her not to follow her and runs out of the building. Ryo is surprised at how fast she can move and decides to do her surprise interview tomorrow. Sakurako has made it all the way to Kamehama City of University of Frail School. She finds Aruha and walks into her classroom and greets her. Aruha asks if anything happened, but Sakurako assures her nothing did. It's just the school is incredibly boring for her, so she left to be with Aruha since that's the only time she feels has meaning. Sakurako asks her if she's angry and Aruha says she is. She is glad that she wants to see her, but she tells her it's wrong to cut class like that and asks her if she even told the teacher where she was going to leave. Sakurako admits she didn't, and Aruha tells her that it was wrong for her to do because teachers get worried when their students disappear. She asks if that kind of information was in the data that Toka and Nemu provided her, and Sakurako admits it was. Not only that, Toka was the one who had signed her up, so she'll have to deal with any repercussions for her actions. Sakurako is saddened to hear she caused problems for Toka, and Aruha explains that her actions cause a lot of problems and worried for a lot of people. She asks if Sakurako understands what she's telling her, and Sakurako confirms that her data is telling her that Aruha is right to be angry with her actions. Now that she's settled, Aruha corrects Minagi's Liberty Academy to apologize and asks Sakurako to promise to go to school tomorrow. Sakurako hesitates, then promises she will. Although on the inside, she keeps thinking of how boring and what little fun it will be. The next day, Sakurako sits in history class thinking about how it is boring to learn the things she already knows. But she skips class, then Aruha will get angry, and she doesn't want that. She sighs, and just as the bell rings for lunch, several of her classmates make plans to eat lunch outside or hit up the store, and Sakurako watches them, wondering if that's what it means to be friends. She walks out into the hallway alone and remembers that Haruna told her to come see her if she ever needed anything. Sakurako heads to the labs where Haruna is. Haruna is busy with a dirty lab equipment and dealing with her lab partners. Remembering Aruha's words from yesterday, Sakura decides not to bother Haruna and cause problems for others. Instead, she decides to spend the time alone and searches her database for somewhere suitable. She soon finds an empty classroom and sits down alone. She looks around at the empty classroom and tears up well in her eyes as she wonders if she's feeling this loneliness. Ryo soon pops out into the classroom. She's happy to find her, and she proudly declares that no one can escape her when she's hot on the trail for a scoop. Sakurako recognizes her from yesterday, and Ryo is sorry to see her cry. She doesn't think that she made that bad of an impression on her to make her cry like that. Sakurako doesn't understand and realizes there are tears streaming down her face. She asks if what she's doing is crying, and Ryo offers her a handkerchief in exchange. Ryo asks if she can tell her why she's crying, but warns her she might write about it in a paper. Sakurako is surprised that someone wants to listen to her, so she tells her everything, including the fact she's a rumor. Ryo is surprised to hear about how she used to be a rumor. Sakurako claims that everything she told her is the truth, but Ryo reassures her she definitely believes her. With the last name like Hiraki, she asks if Nemu isn't her creator. Sakurako is happy to hear that she knows of Nemu, and Ryo explains she used to be a white feather of the wings of Magius. She's not friends with Toka and Nemu, but she is acquainted with them. Ryo asks her if it's okay if she calls her by her first name rather than Hiragi, since that will only bring up bad memories of her. Sakurako tells her that's okay by her, and Ryo invites her to spend lunch with her. Ryo says she understands her situation and can help her if she needs any advice. Sakurako tells her she was supposed to go to Haruna if she needed anything. Ryo admits that Haruna is reliable, but a lot of people rely on her, so she often is very busy. Ryo says she can come to her for anything that's not major, and Sakurako is happy to hear this. In exchange, Ryo asks if she can do her a favor and act as the school newspaper mascot. Since she's so interested, Ryo thinks it'll be fun with Sakurako's own special section in the newspaper. Sakurako doesn't get it, but she doesn't seems like a bad idea, so she agrees. Ryo offers to take her to the newspaper club room so she can look at some of the back issues of the Midori report, and Sakurako happily complies. Sakurako thinks to her that she finally gets it. Sakurako arrives at home later than usual. Aruha asks if everything happened, and Sakurako tells her and Ui that she's glad she listened and went to school today because she made a new friend. She tells them her friend is Ryo Midori, and she works at the newspaper. She recited Sakurako to be their mascot and asked to spend the lunch hour together every day. Ui is glad to hear she has a new friend, but Aruha is a little worried since she knows Ryo used to be a white feather. Sakurako hands her a letter that Ryo had given her to give to her guardians. In the letter, Ryo tells Sakurako's guardians that she should have been taught emotional education before forcing social education on her, nor should she be forced to go to school. She also understands why they asked Haruno to look after her, but she writes that Haruno is incredibly busy, so they shouldn't have imposed it on her. Since she's a magical girl too, she promised to keep an eye on Sakurako, but in exchange, she'll be the newspaper club's mascot. Since Sakurako already agreed to do it, they can't complain. Aruha looks down since she knows that everything Ryo said is in the letter was right. Sakurako asks what's wrong since the letter is just asking for her permission to be their mascot. Aruha forces a smile and tells her that's what the letter says in a roundabout way. Either way, Ui is happy that Sakurako had made a good friend. Sakurako explains that the reason she was late was because she was reading back copies of the Midori report. She likes the way Nemu writes, but she also likes the way Ryo writes, too, so she wants to go back to school and finish reading it. Aruha asks Sakurako if she doesn't hate school anymore, and Sakurako says she doesn't. Plus, she's getting her own column called Sakurako something column. They haven't worked it out the details yet. Aruha is glad to hear that she found something she wants to do. Sakurako hasn't decided if she has or wants to yet. But she knows now that Haruno was right. School would be more fun if she made friends. Although not really has a meaning, but what we know what eternal means, lasting or existing forever without an end or beginning. Like how her rumor name has 10,000 years, which is a long time. The second name, Sakura, comes from the tree of the same name with pink petals, which is also known as cherry blossom. Fact 1. She is the second character in the game to have a second Magi attack rather than a double. This may be due to the fact she is a rimmer rather than a magical girl. Fact 2. Her school, she was referred to as Sakurako Hiragi. Notably, her last name is the same as her creator, name of Hiragi. Fact 3. The English translation changed her name from Rumor of the 10,000 Years Sakura to Uwasa of the Eternal Sakura. Fact 4. Her cyber aesthetic was based on her original being as an AI. Fact 5. In the game file, she is referred to as Arakanan Rimmer version. This implies that there was a part human character with non-rumor form that was scrapped. Fact 6. Her Eternal Sakura's VA is Minori Shizuki, who you may know as Akito Shinamoto in Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, Florist in a certain magical index tree, Her English VA is listed as Mila Lee, who you may know as Mimi, aka Saint Tail in Saint Tail English dub, Rina Rugu in Higurashi When They Cry, and Yuki Cross in Vampire Knight. And that's my info on Eternal Sakura. Next time, I'm gonna go over a gaming magical girl by the name of Ranka Chizu. So see you next time.